This is AVIOT, Atypical Voices in Our Time, the official podcast of Chemistry Productions. That's spelled K3MISTRY Productions, a media education company.
So go a little something like this. That's AVIOT.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is the AVIOT podcast. I'm Jay Stokes, joined by Koya and Jay Random, our other co-hosts. Once again, we have Mike and Fred in the house.
Hi.
Trying to have part 2 of this LeBron versus Michael Jordan debate. This time, we're going to be talking about the competition in the Jordan era versus the competition in the LeBron era. After that, we're going to go talk about some other topics, but we just wanted to start with that. How's everybody doing before we get started?
I'm good. Can't complain.
Good, man. I don't know what day it is, but, you know.
Oh, well.
How you doing, Mike?
One day at a time.
Cool, you
Baby
good?
girl, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, guys. Everything is good. You know what's really not good, though? The reception is really bad, so I don't know. That's real.
Gotcha. Well, listen,
bad.
if we lose you
I'm in
like
the
twice,
woods.
then we understand. Yeah, you just froze again. Gotcha.
Damn.
So,
Guys.
anyway, let's go.
All right, so in terms of the competition, we're going to let Mike start this time because last time Fred started. So, Mike, take it away. Competition in the Jordan era versus LeBron era. What are your points? What do you got to say?
The competition was very different. In the Michael Jordan era, you could hand check, you could touch the player, you can stare him whichever way you wanted him to go with your hand checking. In this era, it's like you can't even put your hands on the player because they call fouls. And in this era, the rules have changed so much to where now that they don't even have a big man in the middle and the players can just, flow through the middle and do whatever they, Back when Jordan played, the big man could sit in the paint. I was listening to YouTube. I was looking at a YouTube video the other day, and it was saying like the big man just planted himself in the paint, and they didn't have the 3-second rule back then. So it was even harder for Jordan to get to the middle, or any player at that time to get to the middle and score. Whereas here in 2020, the game really, the big man is really obsolete, because everybody sits on the perimeter and tries to shoot threes. You know what I mean? So that's my point of it. And I think if Jordan would have played in this era, like I read the YouTube, I was watching a YouTube video the other day. It was like he would have scored like 50 or 40-something, 45 points or something like that, which I believe is true.
Okay.
I'm with you, Mike. They're a bunch of divas. I'm with you.
And LeBron is the biggest diva out of all of them. Let's be
For real.
Oh,
yo.
wow.
I like LeBron. Listen, I like LeBron, but
I like him too.
he wouldn't have did all the things that he does now back in the 90s and the 80s. He wouldn't have did all of that.
Play hard enough. He cried too fast. Never worked out.
Yo, Fred, you outmatched, man. You outmatched today.
Nah, I'm laughing because I got 3 people on here and everybody wrong as hell, man. It's crazy.
Oh,
It's like,
come on, Fred. I
What
want
to say.
to hear your point, Fred. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, man, like, why is it we only do this for basketball, right? Because if y'all don't talk about it being more competitive back then and whatever, why don't we say that about any other sport? For some reason, basketball is the only sport that we talk about where people say it's apparently the only sport that got worse in 30 years.
You got a point. You got a point. With hockey, they don't fight anymore, right?
I mean, but that's not the sport though. But hockey, they bigger, they stronger, they faster. Maybe people don't want to fight because now you might really get hurt. You know what I mean? but at the end of the day, it's just like, I don't know, man. I feel like I've been watching the same videos you've been watching, man, and like seeing the same shows, and it's just like it doesn't make any sense to me, man, because if you're basically saying Jordan would drop 45, 50 a game in this era, then you're basically saying basketball has got like some Benjamin Button syndrome that somehow it gets worse as time goes along. It's like, if you look at...
All right. How do you feel about a 7-foot guy besides Dirk Nowitzki, somebody like Dwight Howard, sitting at the top of the key trying to shoot a 3? How stupid does that look?
Yeah, but I mean, when you're asking, like, I guess, like, what we need to do is get back to the question, right? Because if the question is, like, what competition level was like between then and now, I mean, it's no question that it's better now. Like, I mean, look at even, like, LeBron is playing on the Lakers, right? LeBron got right next to him. He's got a top 5 player in the NBA right next to him right now in AD. But no, even going into the playoffs, nobody's really saying that they're the overwhelming favorite to go to the finals because you got another team in LA with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and Lou Williams and all these guys and they play good defense. So
I don't even think they're the favorites. I think Milwaukee's the favorites. You ask me.
Yeah, but to come out of the West, I'm saying, and then you got Milwaukee. So I'm saying, in what other era of basketball would a team like that, the Lakers, be maybe the number 3 team in the NBA?
See,
you know, in what era of basketball would that be true? Like, you know, you got listen, you got James Harden and Russell Westbrook, probably one of the most athletic players of all time and one of the best scorers of all time on the same team, and they are afterthought. Wow. I don't even know when anybody's talked about the Rockets in months. Like, what's going on? What are they, 4th or 5th? Like, what's going on in Houston? Nobody knows.
They don't pass the ball.
That's what I'm saying. You can't look back on Jordan's era and say it's more competitive than today. You know, Jordan was out here beating cab drivers, man. Like, come on now. Like, you were out here, like, let me give you one stat before I get off and let somebody else take over. But, like, in the 90s when Jordan was playing, there were 6 new NBA teams. It was an expansion era. Like, funny how people don't mention that, right? So you had all these new teams come on. And every team got to keep a minimum of 12 players on there, right? So 6 teams coming on. That means you got 72 new NBA players. Like, guys that should have probably been playing in the G League or playing in Greece or Italy somewhere, suddenly guarding Michael Jordan.
That's with any sport. That's with any sport when they have
it's not competitive like it's now, man. Like, it's not at all. You see what I'm saying? It's just like, we don't make this argument for any other sport, man. Like,
so you think tanking is competitive? Being competitive?
Who? Oh, tanking.
I mean, but everybody tanking has been as old as the NBA, man. Like, tanking been as old as the NBA.
I don't think so.
It's not a new thing nowadays that people start to tank. The problem is back then you didn't have the option to tank. You just sucked. I mean, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well,
these dudes don't even try. Even if the team has a bad record, they don't even try. Well, you know what? We might as well just sit back and just lose. What is that? That's not being competitive.
Let me answer your question, right? Like, and I want the rest of y'all to chime in too. If we were to say, who's faced the hardest competition in the NBA final? If the winning a championship is the ultimate goal, right? Mm-hmm. Who's faced tougher competition in the finals? LeBron or Mike?
Tougher competition in the finals.
I think Mike.
Definitely. Yeah,
I wanted to hit you Mike. With the house swing with that right.
I got a point, but I'm gonna let Jay Kai speak. Go ahead, Jay.
Go ahead.
First of all, like I was telling Jay Stokes earlier today, if LeBron played in the same era as Michael Jordan, he would have been a Penny Hardaway, a forgotten afterthought, because there was no room for anybody else. LeBron is a good basketball player, but correct. I think what we're doing is that we're disrespecting and forgetting the fact that any levels it goes. Okay, so we have 3, right? We already know LeBron is not better than Michael Jordan. Okay, so now we got a number 2 slot.
I don't want you throwing out Jordan.
But now we got a number 2 slot. LeBron is not even better than Kobe. So
again,
when
I don't know how many people agree with you, but all right, let's go.
So we throw the numbers up. Is LeBron number 3 just for this year? When KD come back, LeBron may get knocked down. So we got LeBron number 3 for now.
Wow.
Then we got Kobe. Then we got Michael Jordan. And like I was telling Jay Stokes earlier, the reason why LeBron is trying his hardest for the NBA to start because he know Kevin Durant is coming back. Steph Curry's coming back. Klay Thompson's coming back. So right about now, you got to worry about what's his name? The dude from Kawhi Leonard. He only got to worry about Kawhi Leonard in the West. But when those Splash Brothers come back, it's gonna be a problem.
I mean, he's gonna be a problem back because he's a competitive player. LeBron want to play basketball. He's also 35 years old.
LeBron also
like, hey, I'll see
LeBron is also mad because nobody's talking about him. They're talking about Michael Jordan. The GOAT.
Everybody talking about LeBron. Like you can't even
nobody
turn
talking
on
about
the
LeBron.
TV right
Nobody
now.
talking about LeBron. I watch ESPN every day. It's horrible.
Man, we only having this debate right now because the documentary came out. We talking about
Listen,
Bron.
and guess what? And without this documentary, you know what we talking about? Nothing. You and I both know. Documentary. What are you gonna be talking about? LeBron in the gym? LeBron's also getting too damn skinny. LeBron's gonna be getting pushed around. You think he's flopping before? He really gonna be flopping now.
Oh no!
The man lost about 40 pounds. He's too damn skinny now. And you're trying to play the same position. He should play point guard now. He definitely should play point guard now. So that's how I feel about LeBron. LeBron is a good basketball player, but I just think, you know, when it's all said and done, career-wise, if you add in championships, he's never going to see another champion. Okay, he may win one more. But who? He's not going to win 6.
Who's going to win
6? Corey said, well, who?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. He's gonna win it with Cleveland. He's gonna go back to Cleveland for the 3rd time.
Oh, okay. And they gonna give it to Lakers.
Oh, y'all are just trolling on this podcast.
Oh my gosh, yo.
On the farewell tour. Go back to Cleveland.
And talking about like why Bron want the league, the NBA to come back so quickly. Like, I think you kind of made my point though. Because at the end
this is
of the
only
day,
time to win a championship? Yes.
Nah, you're not. No, what I'm
that's
saying
my
is,
point.
you saying he's desperate to come back because he's looking over his shoulder and he's seeing that, the Warriors might be good again next year. All these teams might come back.
And
when in Michael Jordan's whole career did he have to worry about another team? You see what I'm saying? Where was there any other?
You're missing the point. I think you're missing the point. When it comes to Michael Jordan. And you seen up to episode 7 now? Michael Jordan didn't give a fuck who it was.
Nope.
He didn't even care. See, LeBron is the one. Remember? I think it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago when they lost. And it was like, LeBron, so how's it feel to win? And you about to go to the playoffs. And he's like, well, we about to face Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. So, and that's a hard. It's like, yo, why are you talking like that? He don't believe in himself. LeBron don't believe in himself.
You making stuff up now.
No. Y'all remember ESPN. I never forget. I never forget.
Yeah, I need somebody.
I never forget. Because you know why? I never forget. Stephen A. Smith was the one that said, why would LeBron automatically put it in everybody's head that they're going to lose the next round? And guess what? They lost the next round.
You can sit up there and say whatever you want. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. Just because he did what he did last night doesn't take away from the concession speech that he gave before last year's NBA Finals, right after they beat Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. That was a concession speech. That's what it was before the finals even began. I said it then. It's a year later. I'll say it now. I ain't taking that back.
The difference between Michael Jordan.
When's the last time LeBron exited early from the playoffs?
What are you talking about? I'm talking about when they got smashed out by the Warriors. Remember the time we saw LeBron smacking his leg and he was all crying? And wasn't that the season? Wasn't that the series when he hurt his hand? Wasn't that the series when he hurt his hand? Right?
I remember that.
Remember,
prior. Okay. So can I jump in right quick?
Yes.
All right.
Fact check.
So the first thing, what Random was saying about the Warriors thing, after the Cavaliers beat the Raptors that season, I think it was, when they beat the Celtics, when they beat the Celtics without Kyrie, right? LeBron James held a press conference afterwards and he was saying, we're trying to enjoy this time right now and we're just really having fun. He didn't come out and say we're giving up, but the narrative that was spreading around SportsCenter and ESPN was that it seemed like a concession speech. It seemed like it was like, okay, well, we basically won as much as we can win, but because we're going up against this giant, that's pretty much as high as we can go. So it was a narrative that was, no, they didn't, they got swept by the Warriors. So,
oh, sorry. Damn, Fred, I tried to give y'all a win.
And then that's when they came out with his hand. His hand was broken or something like that.
So after they got swept, everybody thought it was a bad look because he came out in the last game after they got swept with a cast on. And people were like, why is he wearing a cast now? And they were trying to push the story saying that he punched his hand. He punched a board.
So LeBron James supposedly played with a broken hand after game 1 because he punched a whiteboard. Stephen A. Smith, how do you view LeBron after this incident?
Well, the word that comes to my mind is insecure. That's the word that comes to my mind. I don't understand how the greatest player in the world, who's a 3-time champion and a 4-time league MVP, constantly has this insatiable or arguably addictive appetite to try and control a narrative. The reality is that you got swept. That's number one. Number two, you sit up there and you come out to the press conference with a cast on your hand. Where was it in game 1? How about game 2? How about game 3?
Or something after they lost after that J.R. Smith blunder. So they were trying to say, oh, and he broke his hand during that game, and he's been playing with a broken hand the entire rest of the series. So it seemed like he was trying to shape the narrative that the reason why they couldn't even win a game was because his hand was broken. So it was questionable. He didn't come out and explicitly state things, but the actions he did, the actions he took was questionable.
I remember that. I remember watching that, and I remember Stephen A. Smith was like, "Come on, LeBron, show up to the game. Like, yo, how you going to give up already?" And that's the difference between Michael Jordan and LeBron. Michael Jordan didn't care about the next team. He didn't care about the next team. Only team.
Like,
listen.
I want you to answer. Like, can you answer something for me real quick? Let me jump back in here real quick.
What's up?
I asked a question like a couple minutes ago,
and
I still want to hear somebody answer. It's just like, yo, who faced tougher competition in the finals?
Oh, we already said. It was LeBron. I mean, I'm sorry, not LeBron. It was Michael
There you
Jordan.
go. See, your mind is telling the truth. Like,
Whatever.
I'm just saying, like,
LeBron
what team that Jordan played in the 90s could see any team that LeBron faced off against? Because like I'll go through and I name them. Like 07 San Antonio Spurs. Who from the 90s was as good as that? Which opponent that Mike faced was good as that team? Who was as good as the San Antonio Spurs plus?
Can I throw something in the mix real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Fred, do you only want to speak on the finals appearances, or do you also want to encompass the road to the finals? Because while LeBron might have faced tougher competition in the finals, would you say his road to the finals was as tough as Jordan's road?
No, and I think that's one of the things that people I think, especially with this Last Dance come out, it kind of shows you how the Jordan mythology works, right? Because like a lot of the stuff that people like criticize LeBron for is stuff that they give Mike a pass for, right? Because when you think about it, people say, when you say like, hey, LeBron made 8 straight NBA finals, that's amazing. People are like, oh, but he was playing in a weak Eastern Conference, right?
He really was.
But then when you go back and you look at it and you ask yourself the same question about Mike in the 90s, Larry Bird retired in 1992.
Listen,
when he faced Isaiah and he finally beat Isaiah in 1991, it was Isaiah past his prime. Isaiah left the league 2 or 3 seasons later. You see what I'm saying? And then after that, there was no big teams anymore. The Celtics were rebuilding, the Pistons were rebuilding. There was nobody else that was out there. So why we don't say, when I told you that there were 6 expansion teams and there were no real stars out there, why we don't have that same narrative for Jordan? Jordan won 6 rings, but to be fair, like he didn't even really play nobody. Let me say one thing, and I'll let you go, Mike. I'm just saying this. I was just looking at something right now. Like I think it was in 1996, and I'll actually screenshot the section of the article and I'll send it to y'all afterwards. Where they asked, this is when the Bulls were about to break the Lakers record for most wins in a season, right? And they asked Dennis Rodman how he was feeling.
I remember that.
And Rodman was kind of like, hey, man, I don't really know because, back in when the Lakers set this record, they had to face off some real competition. And he was just basically saying, nowadays when we're playing, the league is so watered down now that we can beat these guys with our eyes closed.
So how you think LeBron league is? Come on, man, Fred. Now,
you
gotta be real. You gotta be real, Fred. Fred, you gotta be real, Fred. There's a lot of shit that LeBron wouldn't be able to handle. Don't forget, you saw when Jordan was playing the Pistons, what they were doing. Listen, you can't even blow in LeBron air. You saw what happened.
See, that's why I'm jumping in right here again. And I'm actually,
no, you can't jump in. You can't jump in because the physicality was totally different. LeBron is a sucker. He's a sucker.
LeBron is bigger than Bill Laimbeer, bro. How you gonna Bill Laimbeer play?
You know how LeBron is, man.
Pounds.
Listen, you know how LeBron is, though. Come on, to be a fanboy, you also seen all the. Listen, you seen all the games. You see how LeBron be flopping when little people be in his face. Come on, man.
Nobody touching me, flop.
I don't get the physicality thing is the wildest and craziest.
How is that wild? Listen, I'm not saying it was.
You are a true LeBron fan, you know, because you just in denial.
No, it's not a true LeBron.
Exactly, you're in denial, man.
Just like trying to set the record straight. Because like some of this stuff doesn't
LeBron
make
is number
any
3,
sense, man.
I agree with you. LeBron's number 3.
Michael Jordan faced MVPs in his. What was that? I think that was the road where they beat Phoenix.
Whoa.
Time out.
Hold on. Time out.
Somebody's in a windstorm.
What was that? Okay. All right, go again, Mike.
Wait. Hold on a second. Dubs, I know what it is. I think your mic is probably close to your shirt. So when you move, that's probably. Because the mic part is close to the hoodie.
Oh, you got headphones in, Mike?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's what was happening.
Yep, hold it like that and talk. Yeah, there you go.
That's better. My bad.
Good. All right, go ahead, Mike.
Michael Jordan faced who? He faced Brad. See, you forget about.
Damn.
Oh shoot! Hold on, Mike, you went out. You went out.
Press mute.
I don't know what happened.
Okay, here you go.
Yep. Yeah.
It was a Brad Doherty, Mark Price, Charles Barkley. Who else was it? It was some other.
Oh, I gotta go Google these people. I gotta go. I might have to go look at something.
He said Charles Barkley.
I gotta go look up.
Mark Price was nice.
No, but they ate Parker and Manu Ginobili.
They were good players. It's not like he just.
Here's the objective fact.
Who did LeBron face?
We don't have objective facts anymore.
Patrick Ewing
has played more MVPs in his career and beat more than Michael Jordan. LeBron faced more MVPs in the finals than Michael Jordan did. That's what we call objectivity. Since we don't have that in the conversation, LeBron faced more MVPs in the finess than Michael Jordan did. You can't come back
put you on the payroll, Fred.
Listen, Fred. Listen. Let's give this 15 more seconds. All right. 15 more seconds. This is all I got. I'm so over this. This is like talking about religion. You can have as many stats as you want. When we hang up this phone, bro, we are all going to go into our corners and love who we want to love.
Yes.
So listen, I started off the conversation. I'm going to end the conversation by saying LeBron is a good basketball player. If LeBron was if LeBron was better than Steph Curry, I would say, okay, it got to be LeBron. Anybody in this era, he's better than, yes. But when it comes to Michael Jordan, I'm gonna tell you why he's not, because he doesn't have what it takes. He don't have that.
He don't got enough balls, Fred.
Nah, he don't got that heart, and it's okay. He don't got that heart. You know why? And that's
I'm just joking.
And I think I'm sorry, baby girl. You want to say something? Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm just messing with Fred.
I think that's why. For me, I think we should kind of like keep it in the same era. Let's compare LeBron to Kobe. And then I'll be like, okay, I really don't got too much to say, but I don't have too much to say. You will win that battle all day. But when it comes to Michael Jordan, man, I'm like you. But I don't need stats. What I need is, listen, I need the eye test, all right? The eye test. I see Michael Jordan play. I see LeBron play. Michael Jordan was a rough neck. LeBron is just one of these. See, but then also the era is different. Like I said last show or 2 weeks ago, Michael Jordan worked for his shit. Like, Michael Jordan was the type of dude that, listen, he wanted to be the best, and he proved it. LeBron wanted to be the best, but don't want to prove it unless somebody, like, nudge him. Or, like, hey, LeBron, but nobody's scared of LeBron. So LeBron is always going to be, in my book, number 3. He's always going to be number 1 in your book. And it is what it is, man. At the end of the day, I'm enjoying The Last Dance. I'm pretty sure nobody would never, ever watch LeBron's last wannabe dance if it ever happened to come out. LeBron, LeBron, listen, we probably won't even watch Space Jams too, but I don't know what these kids are watching. I know I won't watch it. I'm pretty sure you won't watch it, but I saw Space Jam 1, but I know you ain't watching Space Jam 2.
I'll watch it because I'm a fan of basketball. So I'll just watch it just because
Man, this is like hater central over here.
No, it's not hater central, man. Listen,
like the hate was on that
LeBron.
level.
Listen, LeBron is not going to win another championship. If he does, then we can have another conversation. Because listen, this was his year. Splash Brothers coming back, Durant coming back, and guess what Durant coming back with? The guy who won that third championship. I think you in trouble. But I get it, I understand. If I was you, I'd be like, oh my God, this is my man's last time to be somebody.
You are terrible, right?
He ain't gonna be nobody.
Terrible.
You're
terrible.
You're
terrible.
Everybody knows that was once somebody. In the court.
One thing I do have to jump in on. One of the partial reasons why it's difficult to compare eras is when we talk about stats. A lot of the players nowadays, they do pad their stats, so they're not really organically earning them. The 3-ball is more of a thing, so that's why people are able to get higher numbers than in the past. Because you think about it, someone who's averaging 30 or 25 back in the 80s, 90s, they're not really shooting threes. They're earning that off of jump shots and layups.
Drive to the basket, yeah.
And driving to the basket. It's a little different. And then also you got to look at how people are playing nowadays. People carry the ball now. Things that people do with the ball now, you wouldn't be able to get away with back in like the 80s or the 70s. And people also, that Harden step back, whatever that is, that's a travel. I don't care what anybody says. That's a travel.
That's a bad
so it's like even those two, that's a little questionable. But then you look back in the 90s era, people could like punch you and deck you in the face. So obviously that's going to throw you off as well. Whereas today you can't really touch people and you have more chances to get to the free throw line. That's why it's difficult to compare eras. So I'm trying to be more objective.
Yeah, but I mean, like, let me just say this though. So, I mean, I know you got other things on the docket to talk about, but like, when Michael Jordan had the highest like career average in a season, I think it was 37 per, in a season, he averaged back in like 87, 88, I think it was. If you look up the statistics on this and you look up data, and this is what I'm telling y'all got to put numbers in y'all arguments. That was the fastest pace of play in NBA history. You know how people like to pretend as if this era of basketball is when it's all like offensive friendly and everybody's real friendly players. In the 80s, that was like the highest scoring era in NBA history, and the pace of play was faster than it is now. So you imagine, the guys from this era now, the Steph Currys, the Durants, the LeBrons that can get up and down the court real quick. Imagine how much they would average back in the day, bro. This is what I'm saying is that like a lot of the stuff we talk about Mike, we talk about nostalgia. Like, we're not really talking about what the actual things were, like what the actual situation was. It's tougher to play defense in this era of the NBA, Stokes. You can't question it with the fact that now you have guys that get paid to play defense. They only in the league to be a defensive player. You can run all sorts of defensive schemes now in the NBA and have specialized coaches on your roster that only coach defense and analyze the opposition. That's the way that the Pistons shut down Kobe. You know what I mean? Like, y'all talk about the Mavs, beat the LeBron in 2011. Y'all forget that the Mavs also swept the Lakers, the defending champion Lakers, in the playoffs that year. And they held Kobe to under 20-point scoring in 2 of those games, right? The reason is you got guys now that they can look at certain things like, what's your strength on the court? Okay, you can't shoot jump shots. You can't shoot threes. I'm going to take that away from you. You don't know how to get your teammates involved. I'm going to make you pass the basketball. That's how you beat Kobe in 2010, in 2011. And this is how you would have beat Michael Jordan in this modern era. Guys would have been like, yo, he's a terrible 3-point shooter, so we just going to stack the lane and make him shoot it from 3. We going to make him pass the ball. We know he's not as strong as the other guys in that pass.
So you think they didn't do that in the 80s?
You couldn't do that in the 80s.
Why do you think they had the Jordan rules? Why do you think they put that in place? The guy
beat him. But you just made my point for me, Mike. They knew he couldn't shoot it from outside and he couldn't pass the ball. So they basically were just like, yo, keep him on the outside, and if he gets by you, beat him up. And that's how the Pistons beat him in every playoffs, because he couldn't find a way.
If that was LeBron, LeBron would have been crying home to his mother. Number one. Number two, Fred. So listen, you said throw out numbers, right? How long it took Michael Jordan to win his first championship?
8 years.
How long it took LeBron?
8.
8?
Yep.
You sure?
Yeah, Bron won
Easy
his
8, right? Easy 8. Now, was that the 8 when he joined his whole Voltron team? That's the Voltron team, right?
There you go changing the argument.
Right?
Because you ain't gonna change the argument.
No, Voltron team. No. Hold on. It took LeBron 8 years. That's after he joined the crew. And it took Michael Jordan 8 years with the same. I recall the only person that was on that team that was relevant was Scotty, and he could have won it in 7 years, but Scotty had a migraine, which, yeah. So, I think,
he couldn't have won it in 7 because, Isaiah beat him up.
No, remember. Once they had, come on, you saw that too.
Come on, man.
We just seen
it. The Pistons were too good for him. He couldn't beat the Pistons.
Yo, you saw it.
Come on, man.
Migraine. Pippen was scoring like, Pippen was complaining he was seeing doubles. Come on, man. Listen,
Michael
at the end of the day,
his first championship until
LeBron knew what he was doing.
The second best player in the NBA.
Listen, LeBron knew what he was doing. Bro. LeBron knew what he was doing. LeBron knew he had to join a Voltron team, right?
I do a quick fact check. LeBron won his first championship in 9 years, not 8.
Okay. So 9 years, but still, that's after he joined the Voltron team. So only thing I'm saying, and after that, right? Did he win again?
Yeah, back to back.
Back to back, right? And then what about the third time?
That was 2 years later. 2 years later.
Yeah. So how many championships he won?
3.
With like technically 2 teams? 4, right? How many championships did Jordan win? All you got to do, really, is just stay on your team and build your team around you.
That's it.
But he don't got no patience. He don't got no patience.
I don't get that question, bro. I don't get that line of argument.
Get it?
Like, yo.
And wait, I had to do my calculation again. Jordan won his first championship in 7 years. LeBron won his first in 9. So it wasn't
the years. You're not counting the seasons. It's 8 seasons in.
8 seasons in?
1, 2. It's 8 seasons in. Yeah.
Well, LeBron's first game was in 2003. I think Jordan's was in 1984, and he won his first in 1991. And LeBron won his first in 2011.
2012.
No, sorry, 2012. Yeah, 2012.
That's why it's 9 years for LeBron. Like, yeah, you count the season. But what I'm saying is, like, at the end of the day, man, it's a double standard, man. And that's why it's not, I don't even feel like the Jordan-LeBron conversation is that fun to have no more, man. Because
it's not, because it should be
because
LeBron
it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, it's a double standard for what you have, right? Because, like, we pretend as if, Michael's second three-peat didn't happen when they had a big 3. You see what I'm saying? If Michael didn't win 2 in a row, he didn't do his first three-peat when Scottie Pippen was the second best player in the NBA. But people criticize Bron for leaving Cleveland. Like, here, let me tell you something about how bad this Cleveland organization was. They had a chance in 2009 to trade for Amari Stoudemire. This is when Amari was a 25 and 10 power forward, right? And they were like, man, we're not going to pull that trade because we don't want to give up J.J. Hickson. You have a chance to go win a championship, and you had one of the best players available.
Huh? J.J. Hickson, he was all right. He was good. He wasn't good. He was all right.
Yeah, there you go.
I know Amari Stoudemire. I never heard of JJ.
Yeah, exactly. But he was a young guy that the Cavs had back then. And they had a chance to get Amari come in there, and they were like, nah, man, we're not going to do this trade because we like J.J. Hickson. So that's the difference between the type of organization Mike played for.
No, not true.
And the type of organization LeBron played for.
Because, Fred, one thing I love about you, Fred, when you keep on talking, I listen. So, it's funny you say that because that's the same thing you say about the Bulls. They could have won maybe 4 or 5 more, but what did the owner want to do? He wanted to say, Phil, see you later. So that's a dysfunctional organization, too. When you're winning, you don't break up the team by getting rid of the nucleus, which is the coach.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
they
still won something. You know what I mean? They still got to.
No. Who cares? You said it, so now I'm only picking back off what you're saying. They both are dysfunctional. They both.
I'm sure LeBron would have been like, if I won 6 rings, it's all good.
All right, let's cut here. Move on to the next topic. Good debate, y'all. Good debate. The next thing I wanted to go from here is still within the Last Dance scenario, still talking about Michael Jordan. And this is talking about a comment he made within the documentary on episode 5. which is saying during the time when he was playing, he didn't want to be an activist. And there was a big election happening in North Carolina for the North Carolina Senate seat between Jesse Helms and Harvey Gantt. And Harvey Gantt, black individual, Jesse Helms, hardcore white racist. And Jordan didn't want to get involved because he said, hey, I'm just a basketball player. I didn't think of myself as an activist. And that sparked some mixed feelings from the public. So I wanted everybody to weigh in on his statement and how you felt.
Hold on a second. I think Corey should go first.
Good, Corey.
I should go first.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not surprised he said something like that. That's all of his character. He is just that. You know, some athletes are like that. I'm just here to play ball. I don't want to get involved in things. I'm not surprised that he said that. I don't know. I don't feel any way about it. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be upset with him. Some people just don't want to get involved with things like that. I think it's a choice.
I do agree with you. I do believe it's a choice, and I really don't have no qualms either. Only because it's two ways you can look at it. So you could actually say something and have no knowledge of what the hell you're saying, right? And now you're like a fool, or you could do the opposite, and then people still going to criticize you. So I feel like he was better off just doing what he did. Not supporting. Who was his again?
Harvey Gantt. Gantt.
But at the end of the day, he still gave him money. So it's like, damn. At the end of the day, he did something.
The thing is, Jordan actually gave money to Harvey Gantt's campaign. He just never publicized it.
I think he probably was better off that way. Because, like even with Beyonce and Jay-Z, remember we were talking about them a few weeks ago when they first came out, they weren't on that political tip. But then once you get to a certain level in your career, then you can speak up more. Sometimes it's best just to stay below the radar until you feel comfortable enough to speak up. He didn't have to, but that was nice. He gave him money, though.
Exactly.
I think the thing that about that was interesting for me is just like, I wasn't so much disappointed in the fact that he said that back in the day and he made all these comments back in the day. But the fact is that this documentary was really getting filmed 4 years ago, 5 years ago. This was still in the middle of some very interesting political and social times, right? And I would have liked to seen, even though it's a sports interview and whatnot, I would have liked to seen him just actually address that a little bit more and say you know what, this was how I was back then. I was a young player. I was just focused on playing basketball. But now, I'm Michael Jordan. I'm one of the richest black men in America. And that's not who I am now. I'm more vocal. Right. But he's never shown any of that growth in his whole in his whole life. And that's what's a little disappointing, right? Because you see all the other great sportsmen that we know and we admire, right, have never been really fearful of jumping into that zone. And, whether you're talking about Muhammad Ali all the way up to now with LeBron, and you look at all these guys, and for Mike to still kind of be okay, I don't care about politics or activism, it's a little disappointing because you do who's more influential in America than Michael Jordan?
Well, Fred, let me interject real quick. So I think it would have worked against him if he said, oh, but this is what I'm doing now, because then people would read that as damage control. They'd be like, oh, well, now you're trying to clean up your act. But the thing is, Jordan has always done things behind the scenes. People don't mention that he actually helped more visibly Harvey Gantt's campaign in 1996. So he came back and supported it more visibly after he won his championships. In 1990, he didn't even win a championship yet. Yeah, he was at the height of his fame for getting up there, but he didn't win anything yet. So it makes sense that I'm not trying to take up for him, but it makes sense that he's trying to chase basketball more because he wants to win. So in the moment that it mattered, he didn't speak up. That's what you said. Right, but then you also look at, you say he didn't do anything. He was very vocal supporting Barack Obama when Barack Obama was running for president. He also, being the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, as terrible as that organization is in terms of a management perspective, he still hires more black people than any other organization in the NBA. So he's helping, but in ways that aren't visible or ways that he's not vocal about it. And you gotta kind of commend somebody that's not going to talk about, oh, look, is what I did. So it's what are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me you're only saying these things in order for people to see it? How genuine is that? And when you even mention LeBron, people got on him because the China situation, he was supposed to be such a big activist. But then when it came to the protests in Hong Kong, he comes out and says, oh, well, I don't know much about that situation. And people looked at him like, hey, you're being like, what? So that's why I'm saying I can't really get too much on Jordan. I can't get on him too much because he has done things. And LeBron, for as much social activism as he's done, even speaking about this recent murder in Georgia, he still has an asterisk with that China situation, though I defended his actions there. Right. There still is an asterisk there.
And now for a quick commercial break.
Hey guys, as you can hear, we are unapologetic in our opinions. We may be politically incorrect or possibly wrong, but don't knock us for being ourselves and saying what many are too afraid to admit out loud. Anyways, if you have any thoughts or questions about our show, email us at chemistryproductions@gmail.com. That's K3MISTRY productions@gmail.com. We'll be sure to address whatever you have to say.
I think at the end of the day, I think you got to ask yourself the question, though. Like, it's important to help behind the scenes, but the civil rights movement wasn't won behind the scenes. It wasn't just the guys that were organizing and quietly giving money here and there that like ultimately pushed it over the top. You need somebody who takes and uses their influence to actually shape the public narrative. Yes. And I don't think we need to, go back and forth. Like, it's not knocking Michael in terms of like, what he's doing and his philanthropy and the way he runs his team and whatnot. I just think like, you want to see a guy like that with that level of fame, with that level of like, of wealth and influence that he has to actually like take a more vocal role in talking about things that like happen in his community that affect like, the Black community in the U.S. And he's, probably the most famous Black man on earth, man. Like, how you not gonna like, try to use that to like try to fix it?
I think two things here.
Hold on,
okay.
Go
ahead.
Fred, let me ask you a question, and somebody could Google this too. When did LeBron come into the league?
03.
03. So you telling me from 03 to when he started being an activist, there was no police shootings, no kids being killed in Cleveland around that time? Because you got to also, let's be honest, LeBron is doing what he's doing now because LeBron made his money. That's correct. LeBron is his own boss. When LeBron was playing basketball like Michael Jordan was, he wasn't no activist. Because you cannot tell me, and I'm pretty sure we could Google it to see how many Black kids got killed between 2003 to 2013 until he started being an activist. And I'm pretty sure him nor D. Wade publicly.
A lot of Black celebrities have to do that, though. They can't. If they speak out too soon, they're gonna lose money. How they gonna feed their
we don't even dispute that.
So, Fresh, you gotta be honest. When we do, I'm saying it goes back to the comparing. We can't compare apples to oranges. We gotta compare apples to apples. What Michael Jordan did back then, yes, it probably hurt campaign, but when it's all said and done, you can't say the only person you can say I think with a strong this guy did it was Muhammad Ali. I don't agree with you when you mention LeBron because I think LeBron is doing what he's doing now. It's because LeBron made his money. So now he can do what he wants to do.
Right.
But from 03,
that doesn't change the
to whenever, but it should change it because you threw LeBron in. You threw LeBron in. So it's kind of like,
I brought up LeBron,
like you take LeBron out and then I'm cool with what you're saying.
I'm not even trying to have the Michael versus LeBron conversation right now.
So don't bring LeBron in then.
No, but you have to bring LeBron because LeBron is now the most famous athlete in the world.
But LeBron was famous back then too, 03 to whatever.
I think what you're missing, like what I'm saying.
No, I think no. I think you're missing the point. You take LeBron out, we can move forward. Take LeBron out. You can move forward.
Why would you take LeBron out? Because
you're missing
voice
Fred,
right now.
Fred, do the math, Fred. Fred, do the math, Fred. Do the math. From 03, matter of fact, you got a phone right next to you. I don't have a phone next to me. 03 to before he started being an activist. Please tell me when LeBron stood up for everybody besides yourself.
Hold up. But and you missed my earlier point. What I'm saying. My issue when I said about Jordan was like I said I wasn't as disappointed when he said, knowing that he made these comments in the 90s, the Republicans buy sneakers too comments and all of that stuff in the 90s. I'm not disappointed in that. If he was worried at that point that, yo, I'm stacking my money. I'm just focusing on basketball and trying to establish myself. That's cool. But what I'm saying now is Michael Jordan in this day and age right now is worth $2.5 billion or whatever he is, you know, an NBA owner, like all of that. And for him to have not come out in any sort of way and actually address those comments from the 90s and actually say, like, you know, that was a different time back then. This was my thought process. But this is now actually what I'm going to try to do. Now I'm using my voice.
But he's doing that.
To make change.
No. But one thing I got to say, that's not even Michael Jordan's character. This is the first time people have heard Michael Jordan speak in public forever. Right. He doesn't even talk.
No, but why y'all using it? I get that this man is y'all hero and whatever for sports.
No, Fred. I'm saying that Mike just doesn't talk, period. I'm not even trying to take up for him. I'm like, when's the last time Mike has spoke publicly before this?
Okay, but why are you spinning that as a positive? I have a hard time.
We're not spinning it as a positive. We're saying that's the reason why he didn't say, "Oh,
exactly." But what I'm saying is, I don't get why there's a level of defensiveness to it, because
there's no level of defensiveness. That's who he is, man. That's who he is. You know how you are who you are, Fred, and I am Fred. Okay, there's a difference in people, a difference in character.
But I get that. But I'm saying, like, you shouldn't give him a pass for that. That doesn't.
Nobody ain't giving him that either.
We're not giving him a pass. No, we not giving him a pass.
He ain't getting no pass. He ain't getting no medal. We just saying he's not a man of many words. That's all we trying to say.
Listen, and that's not a good thing. That's all I'm trying to say.
That's who he is. Just because you are long-winded, sir. That don't speak for everybody.
What's the next topic?
But hold up. What I'm saying though is, which other black man in his which other black man that reached a particular point of fame in terms of, like, you know, looking at it from the perspective of, like, whether or not you are Muhammad Ali or you are, you know, anybody famous has to deal with this burden. Anybody who reaches a particular level of wealth and fame has to.
Any black person. No, every black person.
Exactly.
Not every person. Every black person. I'm
already talking about every black person, right?
Yeah.
So Jay-Z might not 10 years ago might not have been interested in social issues. You know what I mean? But
or
now,
maybe he just knew he didn't have the platform yet to say something that wouldn't
affect now when
his
he
money.
has the platform, he's using it to actually address things. You know what I'm saying? So what I want to see from Mike is now
on the flip side, though,
platform and the ability to do it. You know what I mean?
But on the flip side, but I was gonna say on the flip side with Jay-Z, people have questioned if Jay-Z's now speaking out because it's trendy. So people have thrown that question out there. So I just had to make that point right quick.
No, I get you. I get that point. Whether or not, but what the question is, whether or not you're doing it because it's now trendy or it helps your brand or whatever, there's a point that you're doing it. You see what I'm saying? The point is that, you know, for the fact now that you are in this day and age, Michael Jordan is not worried about his NBA career anymore. He's been retired for 20 years. You see what I'm saying? So now who's going to come at you, Mike? LeBron's got something to lose because they can always blackball LeBron.
But maybe he doesn't care.
They can always come out and be like, yo, we don't want to play. We can Colin Kaepernick you. Michael Jordan owns a team. You see what I'm saying?
He don't care about that. It's his character, though. He's just not that type of person. He's like, let's talk about today. Some people are like that. They're like regular people. It comes down to the difference in character. So we're not like, oh, Michael Jordan, you need to speak up. Like, let the man do what the man got to do. You're going to speak up. He's going to keep quiet. That's who he is.
Mike, you got anything to add?
No.
Mike just
I just be playing in the background some days.
I'm listening.
It gets heavy over here. You listening? All right, fair enough. Can you hear us good?
And but I mean, I can't really hear y'all, so you know.
You know, Mike getting old. Continue.
Okay, so
you took your headphones off.
I took my headphones off, but I mean, my mic, like the volume is real low, but it's all right.
We can hear you good. Too bad
you can't hear me good, but I can't hear y'all.
Yeah.
Lord. So the other thing, speaking of activism, Michelle Obama, she has a Netflix, I guess, documentary coming out soon. And
it's out already.
It's out. Okay. Yeah. So she made some comments talking about how pretty much I'm paraphrasing this, how she was disappointed in the black turnout for the Trump election, saying that she wished that more black people would have turned out and kind of insinuating that that's the reason why Trump got elected. Some people have been saying it seems like Michelle Obama's putting the finger at black folk, and that's not right. Whereas, the white folk are the one that voted Trump into office. And other people are saying she's justified in saying that.
They're voting for him, too.
You know what? No. You know what? And Jay Stokes and I, we had this conversation earlier. And like I was saying, because he brought this up to me, and I was saying, listen, at the end of the day, you got to look at it like we can only speak about us. When they do the statistics, we didn't show up. So she has every right. We can't complain because we didn't show. We can't worry about any other race not showing up. We didn't show. You know what I'm saying? And that's the bottom line. We didn't show up. So whoever didn't show up shouldn't complain. And I think a lot of people that didn't show up are the ones like, oh, God, I can't.
Those are the main people complaining.
Yeah. It's like, you believe the shit. You didn't show up. So I don't think she's pointing the finger. I think she has a point. Yeah. And basically what she's trying to remind people is, listen, show up this time or don't complain again. That's
right.
It.
There you go.
It's not pointing the finger.
I don't understand people that have political opinions
sensitive.
Don't go vote. Like, what are you
That's
talking?
A lot of people.
Like,
yeah.
That's
Those
like me saying,
like,
yo, I'm hungry. I
refuse
to walk to the fridge. Like, what do it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, overall, though, like the voting thing is always like, especially when it comes to black voting, it's one of those things that's, I always have issues with when I see black folks that don't vote, man. Like, it's disappointing. Like, considering that, for a lot of us, like even our parents themselves, like we're out here, experiencing a lot of that stuff, in the civil rights movement, fighting for all these rights. And for people to like, just not exercise that hard-earned right is a bit disappointing. So, hopefully that changes in this November, and we see people going to the polls. Like, I mean.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully they do. Mike, what do you think, Mike? Wait, can you hear us?
Repeat the question. I didn't hear it. Repeat what was the question?
Basically, people that don't vote don't have a right to have an opinion on what's going on in the country right now in terms of Trump and everything. And you hope that the next election turns out better. So we wanted to know your thoughts on that.
That's kind of iffy because, I mean, as long as you're a citizen and you're paying taxes, you have a right to say something about. I don't think it's going to matter if you don't go vote. You know what I mean?
No, we don't know what you mean. Bring it up. Come on.
No, I see a citizen point. I see that citizen point though. But go ahead, Mike, elaborate.
If you can't really complain if you didn't go vote.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's what we're saying. Okay, I thought you said the opposite.
But I mean,
okay.
You can voice your opinion, but as far as taxes and I mean, if you're paying taxes, you can say something. But if you don't vote, then you're pretty much taking yourself out of the conversation.
Uh-huh.
Exactly, I agree. Okay, and I'm glad you elaborated on that, Dubs, because for a minute I was like, what is he saying? Is he saying that?
I thought he was saying it didn't matter if we voted.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Okay,
that's why I was like, wait, elaborate. Okay.
This country's crazy, but go ahead.
It is, definitely is.
Speaking of crazy, I wanted to talk about the unfortunate murder of Ahmaud Arbery. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery. He was killed in Georgia, literally jogging down the street. These two I'm gonna call them white supremacists. One is an ex-cop and his son. They tracked him down thinking that he was robbing somebody, and they drove in a pickup truck, came in front of him, and they confronted him and shot him dead. And
I just seen the video.
I refuse to watch that video.
Yeah, I didn't
refuse to watch
it either.
Yeah, so I just want to know y'all thoughts on that. So now jogging while black is a crime?
Being black is a crime.
Yeah, my opinion on it is I'm tired of them as far as, what do you want to call them, racist people, I guess. Let's just call it what it is, thinking that they have the right to pull out their guns and shoot whoever hell they want to shoot. And then it was in Georgia. So is that stand your ground law?
No, they have
citizen's arrest.
Right, Coy, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Citizen arrest means
because
arrest.
He went
that don't mean kill me, right?
Exactly. Let them tell it. It's whatever they want. They put the laws in their hands as far as they're concerned, because there's no consequences. They could do whatever they want. Nothing's gonna happen.
And that's the problem. Like, I'm tired of every time we turn around, we have no weapon, we are minding our business, and we wind up in a body bag. And then the same scenario, different race, and cops are actually trying to communicate, trying to talk to them. It's okay, put the gun down.
Right.
And no one is firing anything. And it's like, what the freak is the problem? Enough is enough. Listen, nothing will ever get done until we put race on the table. Let's talk about it.
100%. Absolutely.
Because listen, we could talk about it and go home and still believe we want to believe. But let's talk about it. Stop acting like it doesn't exist, because the shit exists.
The thing
Mike,
is,
what's up?
the white people who pull out the guns, they don't want to talk about it.
Of course, they want to
They're the
talk
ones
about
that's
it.
like, let's put slavery behind us.
Like you said, it's like they just feel like they have the right to pull their guns out on anybody they want. And the problem is that this country, they let them get away with it.
They let them get away with it.
The justice system let them get away with it. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. It is going to keep going on. No matter, we can talk to we blue, purple, orange. It's not, in my opinion, it's not going to change. You just got to be vigilant, make sure wherever you are and pay attention to your surroundings. And if you see something or you think something's funny, get up out of there. You know what I mean? Because
the only problem though, Dubs, I understand what you're saying, but the only problem is I'm pretty sure how they approached him was so aggressive that he didn't even realize. He probably didn't realize before it was too late.
I know y'all probably didn't watch the video. I
seen it.
I came across it, and I was just looking. I was just like, what the hell? And I just seen him running, and I seen him try to go around the truck.
Yeah.
And then the guy, you didn't really see it, but all you seen was him run up on the guy to try to take the gun away from him, and then that was it. Like, I was like, wow. And then another thing,
who tried to take the gun away from who? Who tried to take the gun away from?
We couldn't really see, but he was running.
And he was to defend himself.
He was in the middle. He was in the middle of the street, and he ran to the right side behind the pickup truck. To the right side, he ran around it, and as he ran around it, you seen him. I guess they said something to him, and I guess he was running. I guess he seen the guy with the gun, and I guess he tried to run up to him so he wouldn't shoot him. I don't know. You can't really see it, but I know you see the guy. He shoots about 3 times, and the guy shoots him on the third shot, on the third try. And then he runs, and then he falls in the middle of the street.
Wow.
And then my thing is, what is this? It's May now. Is the video just now surfacing, and we just now hearing about this?
Wow.
Almost
in February.
It's like a month old.
It happened in February.
No, it happened in February, Corey.
Happened in February.
Oh,
February.
Oh, okay.
February 28th or the 22nd, one of them.
23rd.
I was sitting back like, and we just now hearing about this?
Because the news is only talking about coronavirus.
Yeah.
Other shit is going on. Like, they're not talking about in New York when the guy got damn near beat down by the cops because he wasn't social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you go 3 miles down to the park, got a bunch
Battery
of people,
Park, they get to hang out.
Yeah,
they handing out face masks.
Exactly. So it's kind of like, come on, guys.
That's that sense of entitlement America gives to white people. Yeah, they give white people this false sense of entitlement. That's why they feel like they could treat us however and do whatever. There's no problem.
Yeah.
I think what people are going to have to do is they're going to have to act like, did you see the 3 armed black men that were walking beside Representative Sarah Anthony in Lansing, Michigan?
They walked her to the courthouse.
They walked her to the Capitol because there was a bunch of white people outside, like, being threatening. So a bunch of black citizens, like 3 black guys, they got some rifles and they just walked right beside her to make sure they know she can't be messed with. It might have to get to that point soon.
Wow.
Yeah, we have to unite more, though.
This country
need to unite more.
This country, like, it's crazy because when Trump said something about, it's the Chinese virus, you got these white people out here discriminating against Chinese people. Like, what's going on? But then in turn, you see the Chinese people over there in China kicking out the black folk, talking about, they have coronavirus, they can't live here, so they evict. It's crazy.
No,
it's
crazy.
We have no friends.
We living in a time where we just have to be vigilant and look out for one another. But it's so hard because we always want the crabs in the barrel, mentality.
They set us up like that, though.
That's true. You're right.
Fred, you got anything to add?
No, I'm just saying, it's like one of those disappointing things to say. It's not even,
Very.
that, one, it took so long for, it takes the video surfacing for like people to actually start talking about this. Like this happened 3 months ago. Not even more than that too. Like, 3 months ago, and now we're just talking about it because we can see the video come out. Like, like the fact that these individuals are still free is absolutely crazy to me.
Yep.
And and it's just one of those things where like, you see these like, there's all these states have these laws that kind of allow citizens to police black bodies, but they don't explicitly say that. Like, people don't really, the stand your ground law in Florida and like all of these laws, like, in Georgia, you can do like citizens arrest. Like if that was a white dude jogging through that neighborhood, they wouldn't have been like, oh, maybe he's the one behind the burglaries and let's go chase him down the street in our pickups. But, now you got a black man doing it, and now they just take advantage of these legal frameworks to like, police black bodies, man. And it's one of those things that like, it has to change. Like I love to see people organize around that, just to be like, we're gonna identify all these laws out there that allow people to like police black people and police black bodies like that. And we just like organize as black folks and just like try to like get rid of those, and like whether that's like taking over like state houses and like, running for city council, whatever it is. But something's got to change. Like rather than, and I like to see that we focus this anger right now towards like, how we can actually like protect ourselves, and whether or not that's like, going the route that Stokes mentioned, or going the route of actually just like looking at the laws and stuff that we can actually like, we can address.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
We gotta keep the energy. We gotta keep the same energy.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not gonna take protesting either. We gotta stop with the protesting. Protesting's over.
How I feel about that.
Time to turn up.
That's it.
Get the
Speaking of turning up,
right, Jay Stokes? Get the out.
I ain't say it. You said it. You said it. I did not say it.
I say it every week. I talk about him every week. Oh well, they talk about us. Don't matter.
So speaking of outrage and uproar, the last topic of tonight, and then we'll call it a night. I wanted to talk about Adele. So Adele recently posted a picture of herself on her Instagram. She's very thin now. Remember, Adele used to be a little heavier, pleasantly plump, as I like to say. And she posted
oh, my bad. Sorry.
And she posted a picture on her Instagram, and she was thin, just thanking the healthcare workers during this time of the coronavirus pandemic. And people were saying, oh, she looks so good, and they were praising her for looking good. And then people got annoyed because they're like, why are you praising her for looking good? You trying to say she wasn't pretty when she was heavier? So now, I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Happy though. People are never happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If she was the same size, they'd be like, damn, she couldn't lose no weight. She lost some weight. Damn, she got too skinny. People are never content or happy. So she does look different. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm still processing everything. But if she's happy, I'm happy. It's her body, so.
I mean, I seen it. I was like, huh? That's
right. Right. You processing it too, right? That shit caught me all the way off guard.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was on no weight loss plan.
I just want to know if she sound the same.
Listen, I hope she not knock me.
That music might not be hitting the same no more.
Listen, I was hoping she knock me. You know the big girls lose weight. So you be like, I never knew you was knock me before. Like the legs don't know what to do. The legs start wobbling.
Dude, what is it with you, man?
He's random. That's why he's Jay Random. That's the name of the game, right?
Yo, Random. You know that's gonna be your girl Lizzo in a few years, right?
What? Lizzo gonna be knocking me. Look, I can't see those knees knocking now.
Yeah, I think they might be knocking already. So,
well, once she lose that weight, I hope she ain't looking like somebody look like they need some milk in their body because the knees like they just knocking for no reason.
Oh my God!
I'm just hoping she not knocking. I looked at the picture. Yeah.
Fred, Mike, we get on. Random gets on Lizzo every week, and me and Koya always gotta come to her defense.
With Lizzo, trust me.
Lizzo, that's my girl right there. You know what? I seen her today too. And I was like, "Go Lizzo!" Talking about she was cute. I said, "Okay, whatever." I left her alone. I was not gonna bring Lizzo up today.
You lying?
Do it. I wasn't gonna do it.
Yeah, he was gonna do it.
You know what? You know I'm lying because when me and Fred was going back and forth, I was about to bring up Lizzo just for the hell of it to change the whole subject. I I really was gonna bring up
He's
Lizzo.
obsessed with
Damn.
Lizzo. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Oh,
Wait,
man.
didn't Adele lose like a whole bunch of money recently?
Oh yeah, the divorce. Her
Yeah,
divorce.
like,
Yeah,
probably
she had to
hungry.
pay alimony.
She probably hungry. That's why she lost weight.
I think she's probably stressed out. Heartbreak will do that. Women usually lose some weight after heartbreak.
Wow.
Ooh.
Dang.
She
Hey,
hungry.
but
But
that's
she
what
has a cute
feminism
black
preaches.
boyfriend, though.
Oh,
Hold up.
she went to the brothers?
What? Adele is swirling and he's fine. Don't play with her. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that
Bobblehead
He's
is
a
dead.
rapper.
The
He's a
world
British
is
rapper.
changing.
Down.
Mary,
Hold
she
on, I gotta
got
look this up.
Adele had to pay alimony.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Adele had to
believe
pay
so.
alimony. Yeah.
Wow, Mary
Yeah,
J.
how do
Blige
they
had to
have
pay alimony. What's going on?
That's
The
feminism.
Speedway's up
Hey,
200
that's
points.
feminism.
Wow,
Oh, man.
wow.
Speedway's out
Yeah.
here getting paid and
See,
freaked
us
out.
men gotta stick together, man. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
man. Listen, they play
Oh,
their
please,
position.
Fred. Don't promote no damn City Boys on this podcast. Go ahead with that.
I'm a savage. I'm a savage.
yeah, that's
Yo.
Savage Boy Summer, boy. Let's do it.
You already know.
Yo, nah, Adele dude straight up look like a thug. This dude got tats
Right?
all on his neck.
British rapper. He's like thugged out a little bit.
Wow.
So I don't think she's worried about that husband too much, but she does look very different. I'm not sure.
Nah,
why.
she worried about the husband because she got to pay him a couple million. So
Mhm.
she's
Damn.
definitely worried.
That
Facts.
sucks.
That's crazy.
Anyways, y'all, it's been a good show. We had
Yes.
a nice fiery debate, had some good laughs. Glad Mike and Fred, y'all got on again. Fred, I apologize for how everybody just ganged up on you.
I ain't apologizing for it. You ain't let up. We ain't let up. What's up? I'm just playing. I'm just playing. It was fun having you, Fred, for real. We
Nah,
like
it
how
was
we
definitely
This
out
was
here.
fun.
It
This
was
was good. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, y'all.
Yo,
Till
Dubs,
next time.
Listen, real quick. Yo, Dubs, we gonna start a GoFundMe for you. Get you some headphones. All right.
I just got $5, so I just picked them up.
See, we can tell they $5. All right, we out.
I'll just get some better ones. I didn't feel like waiting for the guy today, but
Mike, yo, Dubs, man, you gotta just use your Xbox headphones. It might sound better.
you know, I'll try that. Maybe I'll see. Maybe next time
There
it'll
you
work.
go. Next time. There you go.
Oh, no,
Yo, listen. Everybody enjoy. Be safe. Quarantine. Coy, I see you in Connecticut. Some quarantine. Be safe, all right, baby?
Yeah, I'm quarantining here. It's safe
There you
here.
go. All right.
All right, guys.
All right, talk to y'all later.
See y'all
Peace.
soon. Bye.
So go a little something like this. That's AVIOT.